All right, and we're live. Welcome to paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host, Robert Michaels. Glad you are here. You're joined in moderation tonight. Sean Nafsker is going to spin the wheel. Anthony Peregringo is taking care of all of our other moderating needs tonight. We've got a great show lined up. We've got Marien with us from MaxAcro.com. We're going to have a great show. He's on his way home right now. He's live with us, but just got some spotty internet coverage, so just stand by for the quality will get better here quickly. I'm going to go through my quick order of business for the show. Want to mention just a couple sponsors and say thank you to all the Patreon supporters and PayPal supporters. You guys are awesome. All those who have been supporting the show on Super Chats, thank you for keeping the show rolling. This show is brought to you by MidwestParajet.com. Go check out their website. Also, ppgsmoke.com. Amazing things that you can add to your flying repertoire. One of those is the Chase Cam. I have great news about the Chase Cam coming very soon. There's going to be Chase Cam version 2, and I believe that you're going to be able to put a 360 cam on there. It'll be pretty awesome. Also, the Unity headsets. There's some rustlings about the new updates that are going to be uh, setting free the remainder of the stock. So those are going to be coming available again. And then also you got the U float and the regular float system that PPG Smoke came out with, lamels, and also brand new strobe system that you're going to probably want to get a hold of. The new strobe system's pretty awesome. You got to check these out. They connect wirelessly. I have one on my helmet. You drop these two little guys in your winglets, and then they automatically connect via Bluetooth, and they're super bright, really cool little deal there. You're not going to want to choose any other strobe system. They're absolutely amazing. I know the first ones were kind of bulky. These ones are really light and just nice, and they work really good. They're very intuitive. As soon as you turn them on, they do their business. Go to ppgsmoke.com to check out details on how much those deals cost and what they're about. Also, this show is brought to you by paramotorprops.com. If you're looking to get a great deal on a new prop and you want to get the best deal, you can go and check out their website at paramotorprops.com. So Max, if you guys don't know, Max is a realistically one of the OG acro pilots in paragliding. There's just a handful of people that I would put in his category. He also is an instructor and a tandem instructor. Just recently got his tandem instructor certification, and or is getting ready to very soon, something like that. I see your finger, Max.
I got my recently. So a son, he,
Boo on that internet connection. We'll ask that question later, but I think I know what he said. But anyways, so Max has been in this flying scene since he was a teenager and just an incredible pilot. We did some really fun flying adventures together, and we're going to talk about some of those. But most recently, he started MaxAcro.com. So if you go check out his website, that's where you're going to find out all kinds of information. And I'll just do a quick screen share. MaxAcro. Oh, wrong one. MaxAcro. Should have had this ready. He's got, let me just do a screen share here.
He's got to work on his security. It's
boom. There we go. MaxAcro.
There we go.
So paragliding clinics and trips, maneuvers and training school. So he's got some great SIVs lined up for this year. You can just follow these little links. If you want to take a tandem, you want to be a part of the reserve repack clinic. And then he does a few trips. It looks like he's going to do multiple trips this year in different places around the world. I'm sure one of those involves Turkey, where they have just an incredible place to do some acro. but yeah, he's got an awesome school. This is literally an LLC, so it is a legit business. You want to be a part of that, go check out their website. And that, again, is maxacro.com. There'll be a link here in the chat. And also there's a link in the description. And so I just want to say, really appreciate everybody for making the click to come and watch the show tonight. You won't be disappointed, especially with Max. If you have questions that you want to ask or things that you want to add to the show, just put your requests or your questions in the chat. The moderators will filter out your questions and they'll get to me eventually. I do want to say a special thanks to Gerald Kalapos. He sent over some retractable phone savers. You guys know Paul. Paul is he's my neighbor, and Paul had bought us a bunch of these retractable keychain deals, and so Gerald has one that he really likes, and the thing's pretty stout. And he sent a handful of these, so we're gonna give one of these away tonight. Gerald, I wanted to mention, I couldn't remember who it was that sent it to me, and I had to do a little digging, and I thought, oh man, how rude would it be if I gave these away, and I couldn't remember who had sent them to the show. So thanks, Gerald. I really appreciate that. Gerald's been watching the show for years now.
Just make sure you mention that carabiner that comes with it can maybe hold 2 pounds. So just be careful.
That's all you need, is 2 pounds to hold your phone. Yeah, Bill H had a question right out of the gate. He wanted to know, can you train old guys? That's a good question. I'll ask Max when he's in better coverage. I do also want to mention real quick, if you're
just
pulling up to the house.
All right, he's gonna get his home Wi-Fi here.
Nice.
Because Verizon is not cutting it these days.
Just trying to connect right now. Well, anyways, I want to mention American Allied Drains and Plumbing. If you're in the San Diego area and you're in need of plumbing, American Allied Drains and Plumbing is your company. If you mention Paragliding Talk, you'll get a 10% discount on your services. Their phone number is 844-777-9055. Nice.
barely hear you guys.
Yeah, now you're home.
Yeah, just got home. I am trying to figure out my volume situation here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. That's still a little choppy. If you can, maybe you might have to log out and log back in to get your internet connected. You might be still trying to tether to the.
Earbuds. No, the volume is like it's dead. So sorry, technical difficulties.
Yeah. So over the years, I've referenced quite a bit off of Max. He's been a huge influence in a lot of people's flying careers, and not just in acro, but just he brings a good attitude to the sport. He's always very patient with students. I can't say that about everyone. He's always been super cool to me from the very get-go, and even when I was heading down a wrong path, and Max was not afraid to befriend me and just extend a hand out to help me, and that meant a lot to me, especially in the beginning, because you tell people that you want to fly paragliders and try to teach yourself on videos you saw and reading books. It's kind of a weird situation, and he pointed me in the right
mentioned it with
direction.
just oddball people, like say at work, or let's say you're outside of work eating something, you're talking about flying. People think that you're crazy.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you mean you get up there in the sky with that parachute thingy?
Yeah.
Now I got you guys. Now the audio's here.
Yeah, now we're cooking with Crisco.
All right. Hey, sorry about that. Technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. That was struggle getting home on the up over the hill.
Yeah, no worries, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. I'm stoked for tonight. So we've already got a couple questions, but I want to fire it off by talking about some of your background. Just real quick recap. You started off very young. You got involved in acro, and then you started actually traveling the world a bit, doing acro and different fly-ins. Talk about your involvement in some of the air shows and things like that, and then we'll segue into SIV training.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So I can start from the beginning. I started learning to fly at age 12, right? I did my first SIV age 13. So
Wow.
just to give you an idea, and my father was the tow tech, right? Gabe, you interviewed Gabe. He was my instructor. My dad was working at the glider port, and yeah, I just got to do clinics and clinics and clinics with those guys as a teenager. To give you a perspective, I did my first tumble entries when I was 15, and that was actually under Enlo's coaching.
Yeah, he's been on the show too.
Yeah,
Yeah, love Enlo.
and so, anyways, I have a long history of just over the water tow and just do acro, and Gabe was a very good SIV mentor. At my very first clinic, he took me up tandem, and that was my first reserve deployment, was as the tandem passenger.
Oh, wow.
So that was my exposure to the sport, was at a very young age, and I've done pretty much just paragliding my entire life. So my perspective and my 2 cents from that history is that pilots can learn to overcome pretty well any scenario if they know what to do and when to be cautious. There is always a little bit of a risk involved in paragliding, but if the proper training is in place, if you have that muscle memory and know what to do, then you can prevent a lot of problems from ever occurring. Or if a problem does occur, then you know exactly what to do. And honestly, at that point, if something goes wrong, then it's all on you. You have the control to be able to do that. And the only one accident that I've had in my life was when I didn't have the option to control, because I had released that option when I was too close to the ground to do that. And that was a mistake that really got me in trouble. Basically, I just took a frontal after releasing a control toggle, and I was close to the ground. So that was my only one accident. If I had had that control toggle, I could have added brake and prevented it from happening. So anyways, my theory on paragliding is that if you are maneuvers trained, you can deal with any maneuver situation. And if if you think about the whole concept of SIV, we're doing things that are going to force us to have to make piloting inputs in order to correct them, or we're making piloting inputs to make something exciting happen. And that excitement can happen at any time, at any time. Even from the first time you make a turn, you are making a maneuver. And so there's no reason to stop progressing with your maneuvers training so that you have better abilities to control your safety. Anyways, that's my elevator pitch to you.
Yeah, so I did want to mention there was some really cool stuff that you did. And I want to say you did some stuff with Red Bull. Is that true?
No, I applied to be a Red Bull athlete, but the Red Bull just wasn't sponsoring paragliders in the United States at that time. Anyways, I have done some competitions. My most notable competition was I competed in Dubai.
That's what it was.
At the World Air Games for the United States. I was the representative for the United States. And
yes.
The World Air Games, right? Which is akin to, I guess, maybe the X Games. World Air Games is kind of like X Games paragliding, and there's multiple disciplines there: paramotoring, like the slalom course, and skydiving, skydive swooping, and then there was some funky ones like the helicopter dangle the bucket fly your helicopter with one hand and put your bucket that's hanging on a rope out of the helicopter through this obstacle course and then set it on the table. Have you guys ever seen that one?
No, no, that's crazy.
That was a really interesting competition to see. Anyways, it's a great gathering, great competition. Now I haven't competed since that one, so that was my last competition.
Yeah,
and since then I've just been training pilots and doing SIV clinics.
Go to paraglidingtalk.com, look up Max's episode, maybe 2 or 3 episodes ago, and you'll find this whole, we talked in depth about that whole adventure there in Dubai and how cool it was. So we won't relive that one, but go check that out, one of the past episodes. I don't remember which number it was, but you can go back and look on the episodes. We're on episode 210 tonight, so it's back a few episodes. Go check that out. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight, knowing that you're starting a new kind of endeavor with MaxAcro.com, you're pushing. I noticed that there's a new Telegram. There's you're really making a hard push for this to get I would say a momentum for SIVs. You've already been just absolutely buried. Every time I see there's an SIV, you're already loaded. How many more can you squeeze in the year? And talk about the new angle and what's going on. This is pretty awesome, in my opinion.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, the whole idea is I wanted this to be, my baby, my project. This is what I want to put my heart and soul into, which is to bringing the pilots in the community into a higher ability, a higher level of knowledge and experience. And the whole purpose with MaxAcro is I want to make sure that pilots are safe. And my belief is that safety comes from being prepared, prepared for different scenarios to arise. And maneuvers training is really the only way that I see for us to really prepare for things that are inevitable if we fly in turbulent conditions, which I don't know how many times you've flown in turbulence. Like we were just talking before we came on about your flight at Blossom. And I've been in those situations where you're low and getting roughed up by the air. So it's great to be prepared and ready and know what your limits are. The other, major thing that I really want to push for with this new business is I'd like to create a movement for aerobatics paragliding in the United States. There are not so many acro pilots. I mean, there are quite a few around the US, but I would like to support the creation of a new culture that enables people to do aerobatics in a safe environment.
Yeah, I think that's a really critical thing. I wouldn't say that it's something that's missing in the sport, but it is something that I would say in America, there needs to be a little more, I don't know, what you're doing, I think is like really critical. So let's put people in the seat of going through a MaxAcro clinic. What would you say is the single most important thing that a person should be doing before they come to a MaxAcro clinic?
Ooh, preparing. When you come to one of my clinics, I'm going to send out a packet, and it's just information about, of course, logistics and everything, but then also the maneuvers and some of the theories that I have on flight that I've written down. So studying that material is incredibly valuable before you attend something, so that you have some idea and some relevant point to discuss. You discuss what you've read or maybe what you have seen. Having video of what your experiences are, like Robert, like your Welcome to Palomar video. right? That's a valuable training tool that you can come to an instructor and say, look, watch this video, and they can pinpoint out exactly, what needs to be done differently, so that you can be prepared for something like that in the future. And then other pilots are going to learn, right? That's a valuable training tool that you can, I'm getting the feedback, hold on. Oh, the JBL speaker
just decided to connect.
Psychedelic, man.
Anyways, I send out some information. I think it's a great idea to look into videos and to do research into the sport as a whole. By looking at videos, you can kind of diagnose your flying and your flying pattern, and see what you can do differently, what you can improve on. But you can also do that by looking at other people's videos and seeing where their mistakes were, where you could have gone better. And there's so much information out there on the internet. It's hard to know what to really look for. What am I researching? And my suggestion for that is pick a certain discipline, whether it be acro or cross country or hike and fly, PPG, and then do as much research as you can into that. And once you've done that and you feel pretty confident that you've done a fair bit of research on that line of flying a kite, then try something else. Try looking into acro, try looking into cross country, try looking into speed flying, and so you get a broader picture of what the sport really is and what these things are capable of doing. And for example, what to do if I enter a gnarly spiral dive like Robert just did. And I can say that's cool. I've done that on purpose. Yeah. you can compare stuff like this to stuff that I would do this. I would wind it up and then I would level the glider like that and then pull the brake really hard at that point. Don't do this. But when you want something exciting to happen, then you have certain timings. That was pretty cool. A nice riser twist. That was great. So that was a Misty with a twist exit is what you just did. And so, by training to do this stuff, like one of the things that could really help you in this scenario, and I think you did that in the maneuvers training, was the flashback. Do you remember the flashback,
Yeah,
Robert?
absolutely.
So that one is a great one for not just, piloting control, but also for the mind, because what you begin to do is link where you want to go with how you control the canopy. So you pick that you're going to go that way, and then you just make it happen and force the glider to do a, flash back a 180 and start flying in the opposite direction. And then you can also do 360 or any rotation that you like. So there you did a 360, and then the glider stopped rotating. Your body continued rotating for half a rotation, and then you exit, and it looked pretty clean for a B.
So it's pretty
The
funny
difference
because
was fear level. I'm assuming,
one of the comments that I had pinned for a while was the guy said, "Yeah, you're actually a professional. This is a scam. He's not. This was not an accident," and all this stuff. Trying to say that I knew what I was doing. I was like, well, thank you, appreciate that, but I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah,
I was just trying to keep the wing open.
I was going to say the only difference, if that was Max's video, the only difference between you and Max would be the heart rate and the fear level. You know what I mean? That was approaching you, I think.
Yeah. What's crazy now is to go back into the comments and look at some of the high profile pilots that commented on this video. And I had no idea who they were at that time. And I'm just like, whatever. Marlon Jonat commented 4 years ago. And then he started a channel that is incredible. I don't know if you guys know. Will Fly donated $5 to the super chat, and he said, "Resurgence PBG rocks." Thanks, Will Fly. Appreciate that. So, the most important thing that a person should do before coming to an SIV, and I think you talked about it.
Research.
Yeah, do your research. What would you say in preparation of going for a trip? We're saying 3 days minimum.
You should plan for more than whatever the length is, just so that you have a little buffer day for travel. But
Oh, sure.
the clinics are for me are basically 3.5. So starting at 4 o'clock in the evening, we brief for the next morning. We start at 6 a.m. So crack of dawn, go out there and fly, start getting toes, try to come back to camp, sometime before the sun starts to get low and in our face, around 3. But, just when we get done towing, we come back, we'll go back to camp and debrief for the night, wake up again, do it the next day. So, it's a high intensity training. You are learning, the entire time, unless you're sleeping or, not paying attention.
Yeah.
It's a great environment because you get to immerse yourself in that, and just the aerobatics training, if you like, or just watching what's going on in the sky with the pilot who's up there.
I got a question. If somebody is pretty skilled in flying, let's say PG or PPG, let's say a few years, right? They got the basics down there into that intermediate. Can you get them infinite tumble by the end of that weekend?
No.
Good.
No.
All
It's a tall order. If anybody could do it, though, Max could. If anyone could.
There's some things you probably want to know before you went and tried it.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it is a experimentation environment. So the mindset that you should have going into it is that everything that you do is just a little bit new. So, to put that in perspective, in order to do an infinite tumble, first, can you do a spiral dive?
right.
Can you do a spiral dive, and then can you stop it from turning? Can you control your heading? And then once you have all that energy built, are you really going to follow through on what you do with your, with that energy? Or are you going to do half or freeze up? And, hey, it's all learned by trial and error at some point. But knowing what to expect going into it and kind of rehearsing it in your mind. That's why I'm saying watch videos, so that you have an idea in your mind of how you're going to control and what you want to do. One of the best techniques that I can describe for aspiring pilots, just anybody that wants to improve their flying, is to have a very sensitive feel for your controls. A lot of pilots tend to do too much. And if you can just build this connection with your brake lines, where you are feeling the line tension directly, it's almost like fishing in a way. You can kind of tell when the fish is nibbling on the bait. So that helps to build the platform that you need in order to really figure out how to pilot the aircraft through the worst case scenarios.
Looking back, by the way, Bill H donated $5 to the super chat. He said what Will Fly said, which was Resurgence PPG rocks. And then also Nick Griffith donated $5, and he said what Bill said. That's awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate your contributions. I like that analogy with the feeling the fish. Looking back at the video, that's the first time I've looked back at Welcome to Palomar in a while, and now I see exactly what I did wrong. As I'm sitting now watching it, I'm like, oh, what are you doing? No, that's wrong. Bleed the energy off. What are you doing? But you can't just be told that. You have to experience that pressure, what you're talking about. How much of this gives you control? How much input, and what is your wing telling you through those little fish nibbles over time? And Mom donated $5 to super chat. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, it's it's funny to me to be able to interact with the wings the way that we do. And, hopefully you kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit. If you've taken that grip and gotten that, is that you can really start to be aware of what your canopy is telling you. So
Yeah,
that,
it was Stephen Nowak that told me I needed to learn how to speak Winglish.
It's like a finesse, it's a special kind of language. It is a special thing. Feeling what what Max is describing. It's finesse. It's just slight little iterations of pulling on the line. Like, for example, when you're yo-yoing, if you spin a yo-yo and you've got the tension on what they call the trapeze, first, you sit the yo-yo on the line. There's a feeling of tension on that line. It's kind of like that.
So let's talk a little bit about the difference. You're going to get a variety of different pilots that are going to come to an SIV. You're going to get guys that are coming there that are straight out of school, or maybe a recent P2. You're also going to get guys that are wanting to be a little more independent on cross-country flights. And, if they hit some craziness like I did at Palomar and they want to just take it to the next level. You're also going to get paramotor pilots. How do you differentiate between who you're training and what are you offering each student based on their background?
So each discipline requires slightly different piloting abilities. And so, say for cross-country thermal flying, there are a few certain things that are going to happen. And if you can learn to basically deal with big deflations, then learning how to predict and control them and how to quickly recover out of something comes a little more naturally. So by experiencing more deflations, let's say, as a cross-country pilot, then you're going to be better prepared for what to do, how to get right on it, and basically correct the situation as quickly as possible. You're also going to want to practice that stall point, just to have that connection and know where that stall point is going to come in. We typically try not to stall, but rather to push it right to the edge of stall and stop any BS that's going on from really taking effect. So if I'm in turbulence, I want to slow down to prevent deflation, but I also don't want to stall. And so knowing how to ride the line, what is my stall point, allows me to really have that controllability when I get into turbulence near the ground, when it's going to be more critical that I keep the thing over my head.
Something you might bring to the table for cross country. What about for a paramotor guy that's going to come? There's a lot of people that are watching tonight that have paramotors and they're scared of the thermal boogeyman and they're afraid of taking collapses and weird stuff. What do you offer them?
So the best thing that you can really do with that is just to be predictive of actually what you feel resonating through the riser. Because with the, how do I say it? With the motor connection, everything's a little more deadened. And so you don't get actually as much feedback as when you're lighter. The lighter you are, the more wing is going to shake you around and the more sensitive it is. So with a paramotor, you actually lack some sensitivity with the riser connection. And so having a deeper connection in free flight, you can already start to predict what is going to happen. And this comes into play when you're doing really full speed near the ground type stuff, where a deflation at that point or a stall at that point is just absolutely out of the question. So if you can prevent that by having a deeper connection to what you feel through the risers, then you have a better chance of not having that happen. And also just knowing what that feels like. Where is that edge when I have the speed bar engaged and I pull on this riser? It's basically simulating as if the air had started to push down from above on the top surface of the wing. And so it closes, it buckles over. If I can get that up, if I can get that nose up and open again, then if I have energy, it'll just keep on going. If I allow the nose to really bite and really take hold then I'm getting a supercharged wing over basically. So if I stop this wing and this wing is still going, that's throwing you right into a supercharged wing over, which is fun if you're over the lake.
Yeah.
But
Not so fun over Blossom
you need
when
to
you're
know
100
how to
feet.
get that thing back overhead, right?
Yeah.
So my philosophy is, again, just teach that, go past that point that you don't know what happens until you know what happens, and learn to control that.
Let's spin the wheel. We're going to give something away.
Yeah.
We're
I
gonna give
do
away one
like
of
how
these.
you were describing about the feeling, Max, about
Thanks.
there's a specific like Winglish, like what you were talking about. It's very, it's very delicate. You can feel what's going on if you just listen to it,
Yep. And you can feel what the air is telling you. And
Yes.
so then it's like you almost get to see, like, this day is a this day, and then this day is this day, right?
Yeah,
There's different piloting styles for different types of air, or requirements, I should say, not style. But your wing needs more from you when it's turbulent.
Oh yeah. All right. So no more names in the wheel.
No more names in the wheel.
All right. We got 53
Tonight,
of
the
you.
spin of this wheel is brought to you by Calamity Kite Clinic. If you want to sign up for some training, they're going to be doing some training here. Actually, Sean will be at one of the fly-ins, so you can actually train with him. CalamityKiteClinic.com is the website, and then you can also just ask Sean. Reach out to him through the show. You can reach out to him through the website, and then get yourself
Bad
some
apples.
training. Yeah, that's what it was.
Bad apples in Georgia. Mm-hmm.
Sign up that. So tonight's winner chicken dinner will get this retractable phone saver, or whatever you want to call it. Say, oh yeah, come on. Oh, too fast. Oh, it might be.
Who's it
Rip
going to
Man.
be? Man,
It's
this is a
going.
nail biter.
It's going to be either Ripman or Lee Cachulo.
I know. It could possibly be geriatric. You never know.
That thing is greasy.
Man. Oh, who's it going to be? Ripman
Ripman
riding.
riding.
Congratulations.
Winner chicken dinner. You win tonight. Reach out to me, Ripman. I think I have your address, but just to make sure, please just text me your address, and I'll send this thing right out. Yeah, Gerald's in the chat. Thanks, Gerald. I really appreciate you donating these. Gerald was the one, so if you want to say thanks to Gerald, he's the one that's got these for you guys. So Gerald's been watching the show for many of years now. It's kind of hard to believe that it's many of years. Oh, Hot Buttered Steve said, Robert, I was in a speed reading accident. I hit a bookmark. Well played. $10 to the super chat. Thank you, Hot Buttered Steve Productions. Appreciate that. It's awesome. He's got the best one-liners. I'm telling you. I don't even know who's the next, closest to second place. Incredible.
Jay Leno, maybe.
Jay Leno, yeah. Next best. So back to our question about, by the way, I have to mention one more sponsor, Nebraska PPG. Josh Bowden, he runs in school in Nebraska. If you're interested in getting some top-notch training, you can sign up with him today. There's a link in the description if you want to get a hold of him, and their classes are going to be starting very soon if they haven't started already. So if you're in Nebraska, great place to sign up. So you were talking about, we were talking about the different pilots. One guy had a question just as we fired off the show, and he asked about being an old guy and getting training. And then someone else asked, do you think a brand new pilot should get themselves involved in an SIV? Maybe you can answer both of those questions.
All right. So about the SIV.
Yeah.
A brand new pilot training in an SIV setting is great, and it's wonderful, but it is, I don't think, the best and most efficient way to tow. So if you could do flatland towing with a truck, that's a little more efficient. The reason that we do it over the lake is for the extra safety of the lake. So if you're just learning, basic stuff, then it would be probably more beneficial to be over ground. But yeah, you can learn to fly at that SIV setting. My requirement is P2. So you have to have enough skill to be able to basically fly, launch, land, make your own piloting decisions to be able to participate in the course.
And is there any legal ramifications in that, or is that just your standard that you said, you know what, I'm going to have P2 is going to be the lowest that can be involved?
That's an insurance requirement.
Is it
So,
really? Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's also, I mean, it's best to do it that way. It's just not as efficient to go and tow as a new pilot. Get some tows behind a truck, go fly at a hill, go, get your flight numbers up somewhere where you can get some airtime. Motor is a great way to do it too. It's just you lack a little bit of sensitivity, but you still get airtime. If you are getting to the point where you are, seriously into paragliding, you have your own stuff, you're ready to go and really set out and learn to fly, learn the sport on your own. That's the time to check what to check, what is my skill wheelhouse and how does that tie into what I'm doing? What am I going to be capable of managing versus what can I expect? And, paragliding is safe. Actually, it's incredibly safe for what we're doing. If you think about what we're actually doing compared to the amount of accidents that we have, paragliding is actually a fairly safe sport. But that depends on the pilot, not making too many mistakes, because, we all make mistakes. And so long as you get away with making that mistake, then you learn from it, you've gained something from it. If we make a lot of mistakes, we put ourselves at more risk. And so you might get away with the same mistake 50 times, but there's that one time where it just gets you. So knowing what to do, training yourself out of making these mistakes and being prepared, best case scenario. What do we got here? Is this Amber?
Oh, yeah. I was just showing some random stuff. Sorry.
Oh, cool.
Hey, so I have a quick question. So you mentioned you like your minimum at PG. Obviously, that's free flight, guys. You got a lot of paramotor guys on here that probably love to learn the acro or learn SIV and so forth. How would PG correlate, and how would it transition or transfer to PPG? And what kind of level would that be? So you got some guys on here probably 2-3 years flying PPG, but maybe have never, maybe once have flown free flight. How comfortable would you want to be knowing what they, what they can handle as far as, free flight?
If they're coming to me as a paramotor pilot, I want them to have enough experience with free flight to know how to judge glide. So honestly, the thing that you could practice to help yourself get ready for what is paragliding is, just take it up to altitude and turn off the motor, or let it idle or something, and then just play with that sensitivity, because with that throttle you're also losing a little bit of sensitivity in what you're doing. So it is good to get up there and just turn throttle off and go for a nice cruise and experiment with your turning and your abilities without the motor, because the motor also changes your response and kind of what happens with your connection with the wing, mostly because of that torque. So it is good for you guys, if you are motor pilots, go up high, throttle down or just motor off, and glide and practice maybe some no power landings, where you are forced to coordinate your landing process without having the power to assist you to get right into the right place, right where you want to be. So that'd be my suggestion for motor guys. It is required though that you guys do get a P2 if you want to come and do this course. And again, that's just for insurance requirements.
And before you're scared away, they'll give anyone a P2. They gave me one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I can do it, anybody can get one.
You got the list, you got the checkbox. Are you a P2? Yes or no? Can you pass?
Are you
test?
breathing?
Are you? Can you launch
hungry?
the thing? Can you fly the thing? P2. Great.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point about, obviously, motor. We get a little spoiled. We get a little complacent. We get a little laxed on when we're down low, and unless we have a motor out or something, then we're going to spot our landing. But free flight guys don't have that backup, as I would call it, at 100 feet and below, to be able to pull out of a situation. So that's a good point. I mean, I like to, go up high and turn the motor off. Hopefully it'll restart, but practice some things.
So an advice that I would give to the new first time SIV person is go with an intention. Like, what do you want to take away from this SIV? Mine was like, we joked around, but I kind of took it to heart. Like, I knew how to fix a jacked up wing for the most part by the time I had came to an SIV. But I was like, all right, the two main things I want to know is how much can my wing handle? Like, okay, now we're going to go full speed bar, and then you're going to grab both A's and just yank them down in full frontal, and let's just see what happens. And while we're on radio, Max is like, okay, go. Boom. It pops, drops, fix it. Okay, that was cool. That's kind of boring. Let's do full stalls. And so we literally just went through like all these different things. I had no idea what my glider was capable of. It was so awesome. And by the time we were wrapping up, I'm like, dude, I want to learn how to do a SAT. Let's see how it works. And I did a little ground theory with Max, and one of the other guys actually helped me out quite a bit. He was telling me, it's really easy. Don't stress on it. Just you pull in and do this and that. And I'm doing a SAT. It was amazing. And so maybe you got some plans. You're like, dude, I want to learn how to do one maneuver. Go with that intention. Let Max know what you're wanting to do. And if it's reasonable, you're going to walk away with a new trick.
Yeah. And honestly, I plan on having all students give me what they want to learn. What do you want out of this clinic? What maneuvers are you specifically trying to train for, or what situation are you trying to train for? And we can come up and just write down a list of maneuvers to help you, get there, and then we can just do that. An SIV has some classic maneuvers that we're trying to cover, which are basically deflations, everything that happens in the deflation side of the spectrum, and then stalls and everything that happens in the stall side, plus reserve deployment considerations. And if you can find the balance between deflation and stall, then that is, your happy place. When we train these alternate sides of the coin, then you learn to recognize when those are going to happen, how they're going to happen, kind of how they're going to come, and then you can be prepared, right? Prepare for the worst.
One of the questions, Vito asked this, actually. Vito's watching the show, by the way. What's up, Vito?
Yeah. What's up?
He said, is there any changes with the SIV versus years past or past SIVs?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I'm going to be changing about the course structure is really more of a structured push in the right direction for what you want to achieve. So my goal is for the pilots to progress towards their goals and to structure the step-by-step method to get there as safely as possible. We do have to push the safety boundaries a little bit, but if you can develop a process where you just get there one step at a time and make sure that each step is done properly, then there will be well, that's that's the plan anyways. That is different from kind of my previous mentality, which is more of a just do it and see how it goes and work on it and try to figure out what is going on. There is a bit of an element of that, but I am going to focus more on the step-by-step process to get there.
Nice.
So I'm also going to be offering, different clinics and tours throughout the year. So Turkey, I'm planning on doing an SIV, just a tour where we do some other things, followed by a second SIV. Total is, I believe, 2 weeks, 10 days, somewhere in that ballpark. And, that is a, world famous site, and is worth paying, the little bit of extra that it takes to go and get a little bit of travel in at the same time, because then you're doing your training in a world famous site like the Blue Lagoon, or another travel destination that I'm taking people to is Lake Atalon in Guatemala, and that place is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful, stunning. One of the true centers of the world there in Guatemala, between all the volcanoes. That is such a beautiful place, and I can't wait to go back in March.
Oh, March. Okay, that's next year, so it's not on the website, but that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing a lot of clinics, and basically just focusing on taking people, guiding people through SIVs, as well as just having a good time, going to exotic places and doing fun stuff. Like, we rode a dirt bike, Cheyenne and I, around the lake. And that was a 6-hour, adventure that we thought was going to be paved roads, turned into dirt roads, riding through rivers, and just doing some great exotic things to entertain ourselves when we weren't flying. So yeah, I love visiting new and exotic places. Definitely a hobby, I guess. And anyways, I look forward to taking people to do that.
I'm going to mention just a couple sponsors real quick. iFly Indiana powered paragliding. If you're interested in getting some proper training, iflyindiana.com is the website. Kevin and his team will get your feet off the ground. Also, the show's brought to you by Lone Star Paramotor. If you're in the Lone Star state of Texas, you can reach out to Ron Turan and his team for world-class training. Their website is lonestarparamotor.com. Also, the show's brought to you by Torrey Pines Glider Port. If you want to learn how to free fly in the most beautiful place in the United States, arguably, you can reach out to Max Marien or any one of the guys at flytorrey.com. That's FLYTORREY.com. Also want to mention real quick, Resurgence PPG. If you want to support our men and women of uniform, tax day is coming up quick. And I know there's an extension, just you get a couple extra days. But if you're looking for a big write-off, or you're either going to give a bunch of money to Joe, or you want to give a bunch of money to a good cause, they're a 501c3. Resurgencepppg.com is the website. Yeah. There was a couple other questions I had, and I know we're almost out of time, but if I can just, I wanted to ask about the different responses that you've got. When I was at the SIV, one of the guys had brought his M7, which is considered a D glider. It's not a two-liner, but it's got some really good characteristics, responds quite a bit like a two-liner. And some guys are hesitant to take their favorite glider on an SIV. The reason I mention that is when Brad went up, he did some stuff, came down, broke a line that kind of burned him for the rest of the SIV for that particular glider. He flew some other people's stuff and everything was fine. But any advice about the different levels of gliders that you're going to be bringing and what to expect?
Sorry, so you're asking the difference in having a D class glider versus like a B class glider, right?
Yeah, when you show up to SIV.
So it, whatever you are flying is what you should know how to fly. So having a good foundation with something that's simple is beneficial. So doing your first SIV when you are a newer pilot on the A or B glider that you're used to flying is a great idea. But if you've already progressed to the point where you are on a C or a D or, you know, a two-liner without having gone through these maneuvers, then you have to make the decision on whether or not you want to get a specific glider for SIV to help you train on something that's a little more benign if you're not quite ready to deal with the situations with that, you know, higher performance glider. And the difference is really that the glider's actions are just going to happen faster with, you know, with higher performance. And so if you haven't already built up a little bit of, you know, a response to it, and, you know, maybe you've been flying long enough and had to go through all these situations out, you know, from thermal events anyways. But, you know, knowing what to expect is the major goal. And if you feel like you might break something or not be able to keep up with it in essence, then it would be worthwhile to step back and learn to fly something that's going to be easier to manage.
I wonder, this is just my thought. When I got into a pod, somebody was like, I remember a couple people were like, no, you shouldn't be getting into a pod. But I had this different idea that I knew that I was going to be flying a pod. That's what I wanted to learn in. That's what I wanted to grow in. What do you think about that?
Real quick, I know we only got a few minutes left
4
on
minutes.
the show, but I want to put in a couple plugs here. The
Yeah,
major
please
one
do.
that I want to put in is that we are doing a fundraiser for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You know, this year I've become part of the Trailblazed Challenge, which my fiance Cheyenne has been, you know, part of for 7 years since it started.
Nice.
And anyways, we're going to be hosting a Make-A-Wish Foundation fundraiser to raise money for you know, kids.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What,
And that is called the Trailblaze Challenge. So what we actually do is go hiking. Just this last weekend, I hiked Laguna for 10 miles. And basically we started a little ways away from the launch site there and ended at the launch site. And I didn't realize it was so close to launch. I didn't bring any flying equipment. So that was
Oh, really?
yeah.
But was it flyable?
It was, yeah. It hurt.
Oh, no
It was
way.
all socked in here at the coast, and I was like, it's gonna be in the cloud. And then I got there, and it was all perfect and beautiful, and birds were flying.
Oh my word!
Didn't check the weather, but was, you know, doing a 10-mile hike, so wasn't planning on it. Anyway, sorry. That's all I wanted to get through. Oh, and one other thing, if there's any instructors that are listening, if you would like to refer any students to me, to MaxAcro SIVs, the SIVs I'm going to be hosting, just contact me and we can work out something for a group rates to help your students progress. And it's really, you know, a great way to introduce new pilots to what paragliding, you know, really is, because, you know, you put beginners out there, they need to know what to expect next. So please reach out to me if you're interested in working with me and organizing the clinic.
Nice. You can go to his website, maxacro.com, if you're interested in signing up, and if you want to get some more details for that, prices and all that stuff, what to expect. They've done a really good job with the website, and there's all kinds of stuff coming up this year and next year already planned. So get your name on the list before they sell out. I know quite a bit of them have sold out, and I'm stoked to see so much energy and excitement about SIV clinics, man. Super stoked.
Yeah, I also posted real quick. I also posted the Secure Wish, the Trailblazer Make-A-Wish Foundation. So,
oh, thanks.
On there.
Yeah, plug that in and you know, donate. You can donate through me directly if you like, or just donate directly to the organization.
Super awesome. Where can people get a hold of you as far as like what's your most you're responding really quickly on Telegram. Is that your go-to right now? What's your, I know everybody's got their own
so
social media.
I have a Telegram. It is the MaxAcro chat group. Yeah. And that I created to just be able to develop a conversation. Ultimately, my goal is to create a community in the United States. So I'm using the MaxAcro chat to help pull pilots together and just have a discussion.
Just to give you an idea what that looks like, something like that. So get Telegram. It's a great thing. If you want to get connected to them, you can reach out to me, and I'll try to. Once you get it downloaded, you can message me on there, and I'll connect you. Or you can probably do it through the website.
All pilots welcome. All questions welcome. I love doing video reviews, so send me some videos. Post some videos.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Cheyenne, for being the camera person and telegraphing in the back. We need to actually have her on the show.
Yeah,
at some point. I know. You guys are going to have a wedding coming up very soon. I'm pretty stoked about that. I got the invite. Thank you. I RSVP'd. I'll be there, and then also the other event, the pre-celebration. I can't remember what you called it.
Engagement party.
Engagement party. That's what it was.
Yeah, coming up next month. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I RSVP'd, so I will be there. Super
right.
stoked. Thank you for the invite. I feel absolutely privileged.
A lot of port potties.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go to the after show. Thank you so much for coming on the show again, Max, and thank you for the moderation, Sean and Anthony. Thank you for what you guys do each week. Everybody who's got a tool next to their name in the moderation in the chat, thank you guys for what you've done and for being a part of the show for so long. And then also, there's tons of celebrities in the chat right now, just amazing people that are a part of the show every single week. You guys are amazing, and thank you, Mom, for what you do for the show. We're gonna go to the after show. If you want to be a part of the after show, just shoot me a message in the chat and say you want a link. If you're interested in asking Max a couple questions, I'm not going to hold him hostage, but if he's just going to stay on for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I'll be on for like 20 minutes or so.
Oh, perfect. That's more than I imagined. He just got off work, so I imagine he probably wants to go and take a shower. So anyways, thank you for watching. You guys are awesome. We'll see you next week. We got a great show lined up next week. We're going to have Dave Wolf on and a couple of the guys to talk about some of the fly-ins that are happening for paramotors. So next week will be a great show. We'll have a great time. So have a great night. If I don't see you on the air, I'll see you in there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.